of Americans said they don't believe they will ever be wealthy.
59%?
So
Is that what you said?
59%.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be interesting
So
to see what their definition of wealth meant. I mean,
that's good.
I
That's
don't
good.
know.
So that's good. So I have the answer.
Oh, you do? Well,
you
no.
you just teed it up for me. Thanks, Gail. So having choices, having control over how you spend your time, having faith in your ability to earn money, having the ability to financially contribute to others. Welcome to the Build Wealth Your Way podcast, where fearless women take charge of their financial futures. Get ready to tap into your potential, embrace your leadership, and join a community dedicated to your success. Each week, we'll dive into empowering conversations, expert insights, and actionable tips to help you build the life you've always dreamed of. Don't settle for ordinary. Let's shape extraordinary together. It's time to rewrite your financial story. Tune in now and let's start building wealth your way.
Build Wealth Your Way is sponsored by PCMA, home of ProspHER Success Hub, a 3-in-1 business coaching program for women.
Gail, guess what?
You're chuckling.
I'm loving how my hair is sitting over here on this one shoulder.
Oh,
There's something quite freeing for me
Rapunzel-like.
with this little look.
Yeah,
very So do you think with my hair going over the shoulder like this as Rapunzel, there's a prince at the bottom of my chair that's trying to get
you probably
come on.
You probably stepped on him by now. So I hope he got out of the way.
Where are you, Prince? Come on,
can't
sir.
See your foot's face.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Gail, we've been doing this for a while now. We're almost at the end of season 1. Are you excited or what?
I can't believe it has gone so fast. And I always get disappointed when our time at each episode's coming to an end. It's like, wait a minute, Dries, we just got started and we're having so much fun doing it. So I don't know if the listeners are enjoying as much as we are, but oh well, we'll do what we can. Let's hope so. That's right.
Did you say, oh well?
I know that probably wasn't the best thing to say. Have your editors edit that part out. So
no, it's staying in. But okay, let me ask you this, Gail, before we get into today's episode, what has been, if you had to only pick one, what has been your favorite episode so far?
Oh my gosh. I just got it because we've been doing this for quite a while. So let me just kind of look at my notes to see what we did. So we talked about building multiple streams of income, asset versus lifestyle business, investing 101. That was a good one. Yeah. How to make work for you. So that was kind of like the beginning with the end in mind, and 401k type stuff, how diversification. I would have to say with all of those, I really liked Investing 101 from beginner to confident investor, because I think it shows that it doesn't matter where you are, there is always something that you can do, and you can do things so much better, and there's so much reward at the end of it. I mean, everyone has an opportunity to become successful and wealthy. And so it just starts with the proper mindset of, if you're just at the beginning, just know that you're at a great place because you have a lot of opportunities ahead. So what about you?
That's good. Okay, so I definitely would not have chosen that episode, although it is no, that was a great episode. How about that didn't even come to my top 5. Okay. My favorite one was, what are you building what kind of business are you building, an asset or a lifestyle? And I'll tell you why. I've spent a ton of years coaching and consulting small business owners, and I think that content needs to be talked about more. Not too many people are talking about the fact that folks are putting all this time, effort, energy, and resources into building a company, and not considering that this company that they're building can be an asset that they can sell one day and it be of value.
Sure.
And it is It is, I think I heard you say to some in a retirement plan. So I feel like that episode
Yeah.
is probably in my head the most needed. Although all of our episodes are
Yeah.
beautiful and they should be listened to in their entirety.
Yes,
Plug, plug.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what I mean, just think about that from a standpoint. If you start a business and you spend 20, 30 years working in it, if you run it as a lifestyle business, that's totally fine. But if you want to be able to say, okay, at the end of the day, I want to build it so I can actually sell it for way more than what I put into it, then that's an awesome thing to be able to do. I mean, that's why a lot of us go into business for our own, is to be, independently wealthy, if we can, if that's what our goals are. But yeah, not many people think about that when they go into it, so that does make sense.
Exactly.
I thought you were going to say your favorite one was getting your financial house in order.
No, Gail, I didn't ask you what is the episode that I am more challenged by.
Okay, got it.
So I will say this. I'm gonna say this on air. So for everyone who's listening, my assistant and I have been kind of working through these episodes, and we've been editing and kind of on the back end side of it. And she's a young person. And so she says the other day, oh my gosh, that getting your financial house in order episode really kind of challenged me. It was like, oh my God, I'm not ready.
Yeah,
And I said to her, I said, sweetheart, me either. Gail brought the
I
pet episode. Like,
know.
I am a responsible financial adult, but that episode right there, I'm like, damn, there's still more I have to do.
Yeah. You know what? It came to mind. Of course, this is basketball season, and I know, your daughter played basketball, and did you play basketball in high school?
Honey, not well, but yes.
Okay. So it's like running lines, right? I mean, everyone hated to run lines, but it's kind of like putting your financial house in order. We hated it, but it was so necessary, because when the pressure was on, you knew that because you prepared for that by getting in shape and all of those good things, then it made sense. But it was painful at the time, that's for sure.
That right. You got that right.
Yeah.
Well, today we get to switch gears a bit and we get to talk about what it is to be wealthy versus being rich. And you and I were talking before we started recording, and we kind of went into what does it mean to be wealthy versus being rich? And I think we could probably talk about it all day
Yeah.
because there are so many examples. But the thing that came to my mind is being rich is what you see that's tangible. Like when I think about being rich, I think about, the car you drive, the expensive luxury vacations, and all of this stuff, this
Yeah.
material stuff.
Yeah.
When I think about wealth, I think about the intangibles. I think about
Yep.
time. I think about freedom. I think about opportunities that I get to select that are not selected for me. So how do you think about it,
Yeah.
Gail?
Well, I'm gonna kind of, I think, really put it into some perspective by telling an example of Rihanna. Okay. So,
Okay.
the
Okay.
famous musician and pop star and all of that. And she sued her financial advisor, and because she nearly went bankrupt. And the financial advisor said, was it really necessary that I needed to tell her that when you spend your money to buy things, you have things and not money? And, and he goes, I
Wow.
guess it does. I guess it does. I guess you do have to say that to certain people. It's a trade off. I mean, being rich is fun. I mean, who doesn't like the fancy vacations and the cars and the fancy clothes? And I mean, you feel good when you get a new outfit or new shoes. And, there's a lot of rewards, to having what money can bring you in the short term. But then when you really stop to think about, is that really what's satisfying and helping me sustain my life and my long-term goals throughout my career or throughout my life in my retirement? Is it building a legacy for my family? Because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, you're going to be gone. You're going to have all this stuff that's just going to show up in a garage sale someplace. I know that's depressing, but if you have older parents and you've been through sorting through all their stuff that meant the world to them at the time, and they, for like my parents and grandparents, they script and saved, and it still is now just stuff. But it's one of those things that that's all that it is. So there's a huge difference. And I think one of the things that I always want to stress, as a financial advisor, my role is not to rob you of joy. I mean, that's really what it's like. We have to enjoy life and have fun while we're living it, not for a future point in time. But there's a balance. There's a balance.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. When I think of wealth, I think it encapsulates foresight, vision, and discipline,
Yeah, absolutely.
which
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis, I mean, what we see when we turn on our televisions and when we're scrolling through our phone is not that, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
thing is having the wherewithal to understand that what we're doing today isn't necessarily going to equate to what happens tomorrow unless we're intentional about it, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So
And yeah.
you brought up Rihanna, and when I was preparing for this episode, I Googled what celebrities have had trouble with money,
Oh,
right? And man, like the list, there were people on there that I had no idea. So I don't follow pop culture a ton. I
yeah.
never have, but I didn't know like Mike Tyson had issues. I knew MC Hammer did. I knew that Lindsay Lohan had. And I didn't know that Aaron Carter and Floyd Mayweather had. And do you know what the biggest reasons are for them losing their wealth?
No, no.
Well, it's overspending, but the
Yeah.
result of their overspending is IRS debts, legal issues,
Yeah.
and the list goes
Yeah. I
on.
could see. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, you can't really mess around with lawsuits and taxes.
mm-mm, no,
If the initial hit doesn't get you, the interest and penalties and the lawyer fees will. So
right,
yeah,
right.
that adds
So,
into
so it's interesting. But I have to say before we go on and anybody feels as if we're being judgmental or convicting, I will have to say like this has been a learning experience even, in myself and in my home. So I'll never forget, I've said in previous episodes, I didn't necessarily grow up with a silver spoon. And let me just take out necessarily. I did not.
okay.
I did not
Uh-huh.
grew up with a silver spoon, and we lived in public housing and the whole nine. So when I graduated from college and when I started working in corporate America and when I had access to money,
Sure.
oh, sweetheart, I
Oh,
lost my entire mind. I lost my mind, and I lived a life of someone who was trying to catch up
oh,
for the fact that I didn't grow up
yeah.
with a lot of choices, right?
I can see that. Yeah.
And because I had that experience and I was buying, like, there was a Christmas, this was back in the day when Coach was hot, hot, hot. Like, Coach was the now Louis Vuitton.
Oh, sure.
And I'll never forget my husband at the time and we were both doing extremely well financially. And so I decided to buy everybody I knew Coach
Wow. Nice. Yeah.
products for Christmas. And looking at it now, what an idiot. Like, and what an idiot I must have looked like doing that. But it was such a big mistake and a big learning experience for me that when my son, who is new in the NFL, we prepared him. We said, listen, here's the mistake we made when we first started making real money. Now, mind you, we're not making NFL money at the time. So
Sure. Yes.
this is the 2022-23 version. But we said, listen, when you get there in this journey and you start, getting these checks, be mindful that you're going to be it's going to be natural for you to want to go and keep up with the Joneses and buy all the things. And he says, oh yeah, I'll be ready and it's going to be fine. And you don't have to worry about me. And Gail, guess what?
Oh my goodness.
This
Oh,
little baby millionaire is just
that's
off the
hysterical.
chain.
Yeah.
And he went through a period where every time he was home, he was at Saks. Now, speed up,
Yeah.
and he's tired of spending. He spent all the money.
Yeah.
See, not all the money, but
Yeah.
he now is in the point where he's realized, okay, I now understand what being rich is versus what I need to think about long term, and that is building wealth.
And it initially gave him joy and excitement, but then it probably wore off sooner than what he had anticipated. So,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
where, and good for him though, that it was a short time that you were like, you know, feeling your oats, so to speak. You were out, and I think that's okay. And initially, I mean, he deserved that because he worked hard to get to that point, but he was able to rein himself in. It's the people that
Yeah.
don't rein themselves in that have these long-term problems.
Yeah, I think that what's interesting is when we think about who actually has wealth, and it's such a small percentage, the people that have wealth are not the people that you see doing all the flashing, right?
Right.
As a matter of fact, I remember reading, what is it? The Millionaire Next
Oh,
Door.
yeah.
Did you ever read that book?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
And within the first couple pages, I was struck because the people who have wealth, guess what they drive? What kind of car they drive? This is at the time of publication of
Yeah,
that
I'm
book.
gonna I don't know, like a Ford I don't they don't make Tauruses anymore, but something of
Yeah.
that, in that, price range, just a midpoint price or a midpoint
Yeah.
pickup truck. No
Yeah.
luxury.
So the average millionaire at the time of that publication drove a Ford
Oh, well, I was right with Ford.
and mhm, and their idea of an excursion was having dinner at Applebee's.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because it was something they probably ate at home all the time. I mean, yeah, you just that wasn't something that you did as a way of sustaining yourself. You grabbed a ham sandwich for lunch or, I mean, it was just something basic and you didn't spend a whole lot of money eating out.
Right. Yeah. So when you think about it this way, given that the majority of millionaires are not celebrities on TV,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just regular folks. When you think about it this way, the average person will spend 90,000 hours or at least one third of their lives working. And when you think about that,
Well,
what do you want to have to show for it?
yeah. You would think you'd be able to have something to show for it so that when you do finally not work, that you can enjoy yourself and not have to be concerned about finding a part-time job when you no longer are working your full-time job.
Right.
I guess
Right.
you would hope it would give you freedom and flexibility.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to be wealthy? I was looking at something I read online. It said in a survey by Lending Tree, 59% of Americans said they don't believe they will ever be wealthy.
59%?
So,
Is that what you said? 50?
59%.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 It'd be interesting
So,
to see what their definition of wealth meant. I mean,
that's good.
I
That's
don't
good.
know.
So, that's good. So, I have the answer.
Oh, you do? Well,
you
no.
you just teed it up for me. Thanks, Gail. So having choices, having control over how you spend your time, having faith in your ability to earn money, having the ability to financially contribute to others, all of these were cited as components of financial wealth.
Wow. Yeah. It makes sense because it nothing in there talks about stuff, does it?
No,
Nothing
it
talks
doesn't.
about stuff.
It doesn't.
Yeah. It goes
Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, in your world, Gail, it's a lot more finite because I know in your world of wealth management and being a
Yeah.
financial advisor, you have some calculations. You're talking to people about assets,
Yeah.
about liabilities, about net worth.
Yes.
So, what do the conversations look like in your world?
You know what? I think what it looks like is that it doesn't take as much money as one would think to
Mm,
live a lifestyle that they're comfortable in.
okay.
If they are cautious and I mean and live close to the line, live close to things that, they're not spending way too much every single day. They're not paupers. One of the things that we really focus on for people in retirement is look, you've saved your entire life to get to this point, and that's their mindset is saving. I mean, putting money away, being frugal. Now they're in retirement. And some of them are sitting on more money than they ever envisioned having. And little did they understand what the last 15, 20 years of a robust stock market can do in compounding interest and so forth. So they have built up these portfolios that they don't know how to spend it. So
Wow.
they don't know, because they're comfortable. They're able to live off of maybe their Social Security, or if some have pensions, we call that mailbox money. They're able to live off their mailbox money. That money's coming in every single month, regardless of what they're doing. And we sometimes have to have conversations, go out and have fun, enjoy it. It doesn't all need to be left to your kids and your grandkids. So what does that mean? What that means now is, for someone that's saving, keep doing what you're doing, but don't be just really focus on why you're buying something. Is it really that important at that point? Because what you're giving up is long term, independence and gratification, to be able to utilize those funds in a way that does allow you to have more money than you possibly could have imagined.
Yeah. So what you're talking about really is that accumulation phase,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
they kind of become disciplined to where they think about tomorrow more so than they think about today. And so it becomes a lifestyle and a habit.
Right. And I think we've probably talked about this in every single episode, because it is so important, is that planning process.
Yeah.
Being able to take, you're figuring out what you want to do, have a plan, have a goal in mind. And then, even if it's just a few dollars, if that's all you can put away and save, being able to put away those few dollars gets you in that habit and that discipline. And then you start
Hmm.
seeing that grow, and then you want to do more. So if you can plan and put a budget together, that really is where this whole idea of wealth comes in. It begins with discipline and self-control. Doesn't mean you can't
Right.
always have to live that way. You can't always be on a strict diet and not, fall off the diet. It's got to be part of your lifestyle, but it's like any habit. You got to continue to do it, and then it just becomes a part of who you are. I mean,
Right.
have you experienced that? I mean, is that just something that's a little off base?
Well, when I was thinking about it, we in the real estate investment world and in the real estate world, we absolutely subscribe to that accumulation acquisition phase.
Yeah.
In that, a lot of real estate investors, as a matter of fact, I just had two this very week. One is getting started in investing in residential real estate. And then I have another client, both female, that is getting started in investing in commercial real estate.
Okay.
And the idea, and it's interesting too, now that I think about it, I hadn't even thought about it. They are in different age brackets too, which is really interesting. One is probably in her early 40s, the other in early 60s. And the one in the early 60s has done other investment types, but she's starting with the commercial real estate. And the mindset when you're investing in this space is there's a buy and hold and
Oh, sure.
accumulation
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And so the idea is I'm going to make this investment now and I'm going to let that investment accumulate in value, appreciation. I'm going to collect a little cash flow along the way. I'm going to be able to write off some taxes, take advantage of depreciation. And then one day,
Yeah.
I'm going to build this portfolio that I can either A, put in a trust and leave to my family. Well, no, there is no other.
Yeah.
It's usually
Yeah.
it's usually
Oh,
A.
okay.
And it's interesting because in my world, that's actually a bit of an issue because the set it and forget it mindset can
Yeah.
leave money on the table. If you never go back in and check to see that that asset is indeed growing, and it's not a good idea to put the money somewhere else as opposed to that
Yeah.
real estate investment, then you can still lose out. But the idea though is that discipline builds wealth.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure with both the commercial real estate and investor on both of those examples, there are specific goals and objectives that they have in mind. Like, you invest money now to get a bigger reward later, and maybe that reward later that you want it for your family or your legacy, but maybe it could be that they're using that to cash out and then buy a boat and travel when they're like a someplace that that's what they want, or whatever it might be. But my point is, there's a specific objective, I would imagine, when
Yeah.
they go into it.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So I think the thing is about the mindsets. I feel like
Yeah.
each time we talk about building wealth, there always is a side conversation about mindset. And
Yeah.
I think even going back to my own story, there was some overcoming that I had to do in order to understand how to transition from how I spent money,
Yeah.
right? Like I had to understand, okay, because I hadn't had money and then I started having money, I needed to become a different person in my relationship with money.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason it goes back to mindset is because we want to be well thought of by others.
Hmm.
But the biggest obstacle and it's you just have to be able to do that, is you just have to be able to not give a damn about what other people think of you, right?
That's it.
Nobody really cares that you bought the latest, Coach purse or whatever the designer purse. What is the designer? What is it these days? I don't even know.
It's Louis, it's Gucci, it's Prada,
Yes.
it's
I
yeah,
don't live in that
yeah.
world, so I don't, but, you know, they might look at that and say, "Well, that's kind of a cool purse," but they're not really thinking much beyond that. I mean, you're still gonna have that bill if on your credit card, or it's gonna be out of your bank account, and they're done thinking about it. So the quicker
Yeah.
you can really not care about what other people think, the better off you're going to be, because now it's about you and your family and building wealth, not buying stuff.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And it leads me to ask you, what other practical advice besides don't give a damn what other people think about you,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
how I'm summing up your point. What other
yeah.
practical advice do you have?
That's really that's a big one, especially for, I think the older you get, you kind of naturally come into that. I mean, but when you're young, that's harder, right? I mean, that's just a little bit harder. So it can be a generational thing. It can make it a little bit more challenging as well. And I think it goes back to being disciplined about coming up with a savings plan, thinking about long term what you want to have happen. You have to really have a vision. What is your why? Because if if you have a really strong enough why and vision, then the impulse and the desire to buy something right then and there, that vision is strong enough to overcome that. If you don't have a vision, then it's very easy to go ahead and purchase something because it feels good at the time. But if you stop and think, you know what, I want to retire by the time I'm 60 or by the time I'm 55, that means I have to put this plan in place, save X amount, earn X amount, whatever. Then next time that, somebody asks you to go on a 10-day cruise, you may not think that that's worth putting your retirement, kicking that can down the road. It may or may not, I don't
Absolutely.
know. But you have to have something that makes it worthwhile.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Have vision. Don't care what others think. And the other thing I would say that has helped me in a lot of areas in my life is I am mindful of who's in my circle, who I spend time with.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you
So
capitalize on that? Tell me more about that.
yeah, so for me, well, first of all, iron sharpens iron. I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly believe that, so much so that it is a part of how I move about in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I'm so particular with who I spend my time with. My sister, she's gonna hate me for saying this,
But
but she taught me,
you have more than one sister, right?
yes, I do, I do, I
But I
do.
don't know
I'm
which
not,
one you're talking about.
oh my gosh, you want me to actually say her name?
No,
Okay,
no, no, keep him guessing.
it's too late. It's Angela.
Oh,
So Angela taught me this. We were having a conversation. I mean, Gail, we were probably teenagers, which is why it was so striking to me that she was saying this, and it was so just matter of fact. But we're sitting there talking one day, just chopping it up like we always do, and she says, "Yeah, this is the time of year when I do friend inventory. So blah, blah, blah. And she just kept talking. I was like, wait, what?
What?
Wait,
Oh my goodness.
this is a thing. And she said, oh yeah, I take friend inventory once a year.
Oh my goodness.
And what she did was she had the self-awareness and the foresight to understand and know that not everybody who called themselves a friend to her was someone that was truly a friend, and that she wanted taking up space in her
Wow.
life
That was pretty
as a
insightful for a teenager.
or exactly, which is why it stuck with me.
Yeah.
And now, all these decades later, I have literally defined my life by who is allowed in my circle.
Yeah.
And so I think I've said this before on the podcast. When I started my marketing agency back in 2016, 2017, I said, okay, Lord, all right, here we are. We're going to go out and start this company. And I need you to put me in a room full of women, multi-million dollar business owners who are women, because I want to be able to glean from those women.
Yeah.
I knew enough to know that if I'm going to get somewhere, I want to be able to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And not to say that I need to mimic, because I will never do that.
Yeah.
What I have is mine, and it's for me, and it's really good. But I want to have the kind of conversations that these women business owners have. I want to know what the issues are that they face, because this is where I'm going.
Sure.
And actually,
That's great.
I was blessed, and I belong to an organization that I'm still a part of today, and that is where I met you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
And so, yeah, understanding in order to get to a certain point in your life that the people that are around you are going to either enhance and help that or hold you back. That's also a piece of advice I would share.
Well, yeah, and when you are surrounded by people that care about you and have your best interests at heart because of you, not for what you can bring them, then they're able to help fend the wolves off, so to speak, right? They're able to help you dissipate that negative energy that comes from people that are trying to put you down. And so it's good to have a team approach sometimes, and it's just they don't do it like it just happens organically. I mean, you're just having a conversation. Like, we have a friend has been going through some challenges right now, and we get together, and it was amazing to see everyone try to figure out how can we help and help her see the bigger picture through her pain. And so that's why it's really important to do what you're doing, is surrounding yourself with people that care about you and can tell you the good and the bad, right? Not just the good, but sometimes we learn more from the bad than what we can do for ourselves.
Right. So if I have that vision that you talked about, and I see myself in a certain light in my future, and I'm making steps now, and I'm becoming more focused and disciplined within those steps, I need people around me who appreciate and respect that, not people who are telling me to go do the things with my stuff that gets me off track, right?
Exactly.
So that's what it really boils down to. Being wealthy it takes a multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah. And it takes a mindset, and it's a good mindset. I mean, it's a lasting mindset. It's, we get joy out of relationships and freedom to make the choices we want to make when we want to make it, so we can spend time with who we want to spend time with. And if you're buying stuff because it feels good at the time, then you give up that opportunity to do that. So I think, boy, I just hope that people, that if they can hear this and just be disciplined enough to really kind of think things through. And like I said, I don't want people to sit there and think that we're joy killers. We're not, but we're just there to say, you know what, you can have fun, but it can be within moderation sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any final words, Gail?
Wow, we've talked about a lot of stuff, and I was trying to think, did we like ramble off track? I'm like, yeah, but I think we brought it back.
I think
So I guess
we always bring it
we
back.
have conversations. I mean, obviously these are not scripted. They're just conversations that we have. So I think we covered a lot. Have a plan. Don't care what other people think about you, and be disciplined enough that you have your vision is stronger than your short-term desires, or the things that I think can make a difference and can make
Right.
anyone who wants to be wealthy has that opportunity to become wealthy.
Absolutely. So I think this is a good place to land. And for those that maybe don't have the right folks in your corner, or you're not surrounded by the right resources, then please check us out online. Go to buildwealthyourway.com. We are a community of women who are all striving. None of us have arrived, not even the two of us.
Yeah,
And so we welcome you to join us on this journey. We want to hear from you too. So if there are questions, ideas, suggestions that you can add, please feel free to share with
absolutely.
us.
We'd love to hear from you. And if we don't know the answers, we know a whole lot of people that do. So
For a lot of people. That's right. All right. Well, Gail, it's been real as
yes,
usual.
it has. It has. So thank you, Doris, for your expertise and your fun and your friendly smile. So appreciate that. And we look forward to having our next conversation on Build Wealth Your Way.
All right. Thanks, Gail.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Build Wealth Your Way podcast. We hope you're feeling inspired and empowered to take action on your financial journey. Remember, when women control wealth, the world changes for the better. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Visit our website to stay connected for updates and more ways to accelerate your wealth building efforts. This is Doris Renee signing off. Stay fearless, stay fabulous, and keep building wealth your way. Build Wealth Your Way is provided for informational and educational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding your financial situation. The information and opinions expressed in this podcast are based on the host's experiences and research. They do not constitute financial investment, tax, or legal advice. The host and guests may have positions in the financial products or securities mentioned, which can change at times. Always conduct your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. No content in this podcast should be considered as a recommendation to buy or sell any particular investment, product, or service. Any investment decisions you make should be based on your own individual circumstances, your risk tolerance, and financial objectives.